I came to know Bob through basketball. We had both been recruited at the same time, and I think we were still seniors in high school when there were a couple of gatherings that we got together. I remember being over in Marin County one time and we were playing outside, and then it was so the guys coming in on scholarship, they could get a chance to know each other. So I actually met him then, but didn't really get to know him well until our freshman year, because at that time, not only were we at practice every single day, and even before official practice started, we were in the gym every day, but Bob and I were also roommates. So, you know, I saw as much of him as anybody in my freshman year. As a player, Bob was just a really tough player. He had, down south, he had gone to Menlo Atherton High School, and I know he had been well coached and played on a really good team. He was a very good rebounder, he was a good shooter, he was extremely active. And one of the things you always remember about him is that he always hustled. You know, there was never a time when he loafed or anything like that, just always a model to other players, and a great teammate. You know, he just, if he wasn't playing, he was encouraging somebody else, and he's the kind of guy that anybody would want to play with. Bob was as good a player as he was much more impressive as a person. You just picked that up right away. He was kind of what you call a gentle giant. He was had a calm demeanor about him, always had a big smile on his face. He was really friendly. I don't think he had an enemy at USF. Everybody liked him, and his nickname was Rolo. We picked that up early on. I can't remember who told us about it, but I think he brought that from Menlo Atherton High School. You know, among other things, Bob was very active in student government and other things, and in his senior year, he was the student body president, which was, back in those days, in the early 60s, that was a very big deal. And kids were very active in student affairs, and so voting was a big deal, and all of the student body officers were a big deal, and so that involved a lot of his time. And then on top of that, we had a paralyzed student by the name of Bruce Diazzo. He had come here from Fresno when Bob and I were sophomores. He was 1 year behind us, and he was in a wheelchair. He couldn't move his arms or his legs, so he required a great deal of physical care. And Bob roomed with me when we were freshmen, but Bob became one of Bruce's caretakers his sophomore, junior, and senior years. So he was one of Bruce's caretakers, he was the student body president, and he was a basketball player, and he was also a good student. He was doing all of those, and I look back on that and wonder how he did it. I didn't have the heart for service to others that he had at a very young age. And you know, Bob, after he took care of Bruce, not only for 3 years here, but 3 more years in graduate school while Bruce was in law school. So he did that actually for 6 years. And then Bob went on to a career of service to others. Just an all-around good guy, a guy that you would say later, he was a blessing in my life, you know, to know him. And I'm glad that even though I don't see him regularly, I think the last time I saw him was at our 50th reunion. It was like we had never been apart. There was a year before that where I met his wife, and the 4 of us went out to dinner together in San Francisco, and so it's just been one of those many great friendships that I made in my days at USF. Hey Bob, I understand you're celebrating your birthday a little bit late, so I want to get in on the belated birthday wish, a reminder that of course you will always be 1 year older than me, but I do have some really fabulous memories of time we spent together when we were a lot younger. We were roommates, we were teammates, we were classmates, and we had a lot of good times at USF. I always had special admiration for you because of your work with student government, being student body president, more than anything I think for you being a caretaker of Bruce Diazzo, our beloved and late friend, and mainly just because you're one of the nicest human beings I've ever known, and I'm just really honored to be your friend.